This interview was never meant to see the light of day. And yet, you are reading these lines. They say it was recorded in the spring of 1930. The journalist's name is unknown. The text itself was discovered only recently in the archive of a New York library, between the pages of an old volume titled Electricity and Ether. On the last page, a note, "Do not publish until humanity is ready." If you think you know everything about Nikola Tesla, you are mistaken. He was not just a genius, the inventor of radio waves and alternating current. He was someone who dared to look where even today people fear to glance, beyond the edge of life. "Mr. Tesla," the journalist began, "among the many legends there is one especially strange. Allegedly you believe in the existence of the soul and in life after death." The answer was silence. Then, almost in a whisper, "Believe." "No, I know." The words were spoken with such certainty that the room grew colder, as if he truly saw what he spoke of. "Everything you see is an illusion of density. Matter is compressed light. Everything consists of vibrations, and vibrations are not just physics. They are consciousness, memory, soul." "But how does science explain such things?" the journalist asked in surprise. Tesla smiled slightly. "Science is still blind. It is only learning to see, but cracks are forming, light is emerging, and that light comes from within." He fell silent, gazing into the corner of the room, as if listening to something no one else could hear. "I observed how energy leaves the body of the deceased, but it does not disappear. It transitions, not into heat, not into sound. It retains form, as if something exits without losing itself." Here in the manuscript appears a footnote. Tesla began speaking faster, as if afraid he would not have time to tell everything. "We humans are like lamps. There is a source. There is light. The lamp goes out. The source remains. Energy does not die." At that moment, according to the account, something strange happened. The pen in the journalist's hand stopped writing. The ink thickened. The air became dense and vibrating. Tesla said calmly, "You felt it. This is the first proof. The field of the soul exists. It influences matter, even ink, even paper. And this is only the beginning." The journalist gathered his courage. "Excuse me, you said field of the soul. That's not from physics." "Exactly," Tesla nodded, "because the physics you know is limited, but the soul is not." He stood up, walked to the window. Manhattan sparkled behind the glass, but his voice sounded as though he were speaking not to the present, but to the future. "There are 5 proofs. 5 that I personally experienced, studied and documented. If even one of them is true, death is not the end. It is a transition." The journalist froze, listening. "The first, out-of-body memories. I worked with powerful magnetic fields, and one day I found myself outside myself, my body in the laboratory, but my consciousness in the city. I saw streets, people, and everything I observed was later confirmed. In detail." He paused. "This is not fantasy. This is the separation of consciousness. If it is possible in life, then it is possible after." "The second proof," Tesla continued, "is the electrical memory of objects, thoughts, emotions, events. They leave a trace not only in people, but in matter itself. You know that feeling. You enter an old house, and a wave of anxiety washes over you. Or on the contrary, a warm calm. This is not imagination, it is a trace. Space remembers. The universe is like film on which everything is recorded." The journalist was feverishly taking notes. "The third," Tesla closed his eyes, is the music of light. Every living being emits sound, not physically, not for the ear. But there are vibrations. A human being is a symphony, and when the body dies, the sound does not vanish. It remains. Sometimes it can be sensed. He approached a device that resembled an antenna with wire petals. I tried to catch this residual sound, not noise, but a sensation, as if someone is nearby, someone who is no longer here. The journalist couldn't contain himself. If all of this is true, why is there silence about it? Tesla looked at him with sadness. Because truth is dangerous. In a world built on the fear of death, the knowledge that death is not the end, it explodes everything. If we return, then we must answer for everything, but not before a court, before ourselves. He slowly waved his hand through the air, as if feeling an invisible fabric. The fourth proof is the connection between souls. Once I fainted at the exact minute my friend died in Europe. Later, I received a letter. The date matched. That was not coincidence. We are connected. Death does not sever the thread. And the fifth? The journalist barely breathed. Tesla fell silent for a long time, and only then said, "Dreams that come true, not predictions. Real conversations with those who have left. Sometimes the same image appears to different people in different countries on the same night. This is a bridge between worlds." He looked straight into the journalist's eyes. "If you think this is mysticism, you are mistaken. This is science. It simply has not been described yet." Silence hung in the air. Not empty, dense, like the stillness before a storm. "Mr. Tesla," the journalist spoke as if with someone else's voice, "if the soul exists, if death is not the end, why do we come into this world?" Tesla's eyes darkened. A special kind of silence entered his voice, almost sacred. To learn, to suffer, to love, all at once. "This is not a prison," he said. "It is a school, sometimes a battlefield, but not a place of punishment. We come to remember who we are, and to pass the lesson, 1 or 1,000, until we become light." He took a worn volume from the shelf. "Do you know what this is? The voice of the silence. Eastern philosophy. I do not agree with all of it. But in one thing they are right. Death does not end the path. It only turns it." The journalist took notes, his hand trembling. "Tell me honestly, are you afraid of death?" Tesla shook his head. "No, I know her. She came, more than once. I heard her footsteps, and once, she almost took me. And what did you feel?" "Peace. There is no pain there, no fear, only memories, pure like the first snow. You see everything you've done and everything you didn't do, whom you hurt, whom you saved. It is not a judgment. It is a mirror." He sat down again, weary, but his gaze remained clear, like that of someone who had already passed through what others still had ahead of them. "We do not answer to anyone, but to ourselves, to who we truly are, to who we were before birth, and who we will become after." The journalist closed his eyes. His head buzzed. "And what awaits us after? Specifically?" Tesla looked into the void as if recalling something. "Imagine an ocean, but not of water, of energy. You are a drop, unique, with pain, with memory, with experience. When the body dies, you return to that ocean, but you remain yourself, only cleaner, without the mask. Do we meet those we loved? Family? If they also returned and there was love between you, yes. Love is the navigation of the soul. It connects. It is stronger than death. He spoke, and it seemed that the walls vibrated with his voice. I'll say more, he continued quietly. I tried to create a device capable of catching the transition, not death itself, but the moment consciousness exits. It almost worked. I felt a pulse, as if the heart of the universe beat in rhythm. And what happened? The journalist leaned forward. Tesla closed his eyes. They destroyed it. Those who fear the truth. Who? Those who rule through fear, religion, power, corporations. If death is not the end, then fear loses its power. And a person without fear is free, and the free cannot be controlled. Only the ticking of the clock was heard in the room. That's why this interview won't be released. Not yet. Not until the time comes. He stood up. His silhouette seemed to grow, taller, stronger. If you are reading this, it means someone dared. It means the time has come. He stepped closer and said in almost a whisper, We are eternal, not by body, by vibration. The soul is music, and death is not a pause, it is a change in key. Remember that. He began to walk around the room, choosing words as a surgeon selects instruments before an operation. I understand how it sounds, mysticism, the rambling of an old man. But if I hadn't felt, seen, measured it, I wouldn't believe it myself. The journalist was no longer just a listener. He was inside the story. But why is science silent? Because science fears the immeasurable, Tesla answered. It needs graphs, formulas, but the soul is not a formula. It is a state, a frequency, a field, a thought. He abruptly walked to the table, pulled out a drawing, strange, surrounded by symbols. In the center, a circle with a dot. This is not just geometry. This is a map of transition, a diagram by which the soul leaves the body and connects to the ether. But it can only be understood by one who remembers, not just knows. Is it a theory? No. He shook his head. It is a result. I worked with frequencies corresponding to states of consciousness. One range, emotions, another, memory, a third, connection, with those who are no longer here. He paused. Sometimes at night, when everything is quiet, I turn on the old generator, and if tuned correctly, you can hear, not with ears, with the soul. Hear what? Thoughts, other people's, not from the living. It's like a radio signal, from beyond the horizon. At that moment, the light in the room flickered. The journalist flinched. Don't be afraid, Tesla smiled. They always give a sign when we speak of them. They? Who? Those who left, but remained. Between layers, not because they were punished, but because they are not ready to leave, or are waiting. Waiting for whom? For those who can hear them. He stepped closer, his face turned serious, even stern. There's something else, something rarely spoken aloud. Not all souls are the same. Some get stuck after death. They cling to fear, to power, to desire. They cannot rise, they need energy, bodies, they are drawn to the living. You mean ghosts? I speak of fields of fear, where there was pain, war, violence. The ether becomes heavy. These places are traps. One can enter and not come out. The journalist turned pale, but Tesla added, there is also light, love, memory, prayer, if it is from the heart, can set free, not for God, for the soul. True compassion breaks the wall. He looked out the window. We live in a world where almost no one knows why they live, but if they knew that death is an exam, not an end, perhaps they would live differently, more purely, more deeply. The journalist wrote down, "The energy of the soul does not die. It changes frequency." "One last question," he whispered. "Mr. Tesla, will you return?" "I never left," he said softly. "As long as even one person seeks the truth, I am near." And in that very second, as stated in the discovered manuscript, the clock struck 3 chimes, as if someone from the other side wished to confirm everything said was not fiction. Tesla fell silent again, then suddenly said, "There is one more secret I've told no one." The journalist held his breath. "What is it?" Tesla walked to an old cabinet, opened a hidden drawer, and took out a small metal cylinder covered in strange symbols resembling runes and diagrams. "This is a prototype. I called it the Echo Catcher, a device capable of detecting the energetic imprint of consciousness after death. Not voices, not images, pure thought." "And you received signals?" "Yes, several times. Phrases, thoughts, images. One of the clearest messages was, 'I am still here. Help me remember.' Who was it? I don't know. But the feeling was familiar, as if I was speaking with myself, or with someone I once was." He sat down and his voice became almost a whisper. "The memory of the soul is the most important thing. We are born, and we forget, because if we remembered everything, we couldn't live. The pain would be unbearable. But sometimes something seeps through in dreams, in feelings, in déjà vu." The journalist nodded. He had experienced that himself, short flashes of memories that couldn't have existed. "You say everything is preserved. Where?" "In the ether. It's like an ocean. In it, everything, thoughts, emotions, events. This is what the ancients called the Akasha. We are all drops of the same ether." He looked directly into his eyes. "Imagine that every one of your actions is a note. You are composing music, and after death you hear it all at once. No editing, no lies, only truth. That is the judgment, but it is internal. You are the judge and the witness." The journalist shuddered. "And if the music is false?" "Then the soul asks for a chance to rewrite it. It returns, in a new body, in a new life, but with the same vibration inside." He paused, then added, "But there are other souls, those who have exited the cycle. They no longer need to return. They become light, guides, their task to remind others who we truly are." "Angels?" the journalist asked. Tesla smiled slightly. "Call them what you will. The essence is what matters. They are near, especially in the dark, especially when a person thinks they are alone. That is love, the kind that never dies." The journalist looked at the clock. Time seemed to have vanished. "And if someone lives a life without love?" "Then they return," Tesla answered, "because only love shapes the soul. Without it, there is no movement, only repetition." He stood, his shadow stretched in a long line, like that of a tree at sunset. "I share this not for sensation, it's just that I will soon be gone, and this knowledge must not die with me." He handed the cylinder to the journalist. "Keep it, and if the time comes, pass it on." "And if it doesn't come?" "It will, when the first person remembers who they were." The journalist held the cylinder as if it were alive. He felt a slight warmth, a tremor, or breath, coming from within. "What am I supposed to do with it?" he whispered. Tesla looked at him with a touch of sadness. "Don't rush. Just keep it close, and listen to yourself. It will tell you when to activate." Silence fell. The room seemed to breathe with them. One more question, the journalist said. If you were so close to the truth, did no one else know? Tesla looked out the window. Dawn was beginning to pale the sky. There were others, but few, and almost all chose silence, out of fear or humility. Truth is like flame. It warms, but it can also burn. It cannot be imposed, only offered. He exhaled. Once I almost said everything. It was in Colorado. I was giving a lecture on resonance, but I intended to speak about the soul, and at the moment I began to talk about the invisible connection between people. An official appeared. The lecture was stopped. Since then I stayed silent. The journalist lowered his head. And now I speak. Because I know. The time has almost come. He stepped closer. You think this interview is just a story? It's a seed. It will fall into someone's mind and it will begin to grow, not in everyone, but in those who are ready? Certainly. He leaned in. And if you're hearing this now, maybe this is the sign. The journalist stood. He felt it. This was the end. And the beginning, at the same time. One last thing I want to ask. His voice trembled. Who are we? Tesla replied without pause. We are light that has forgotten it is light, and everything we do is a path back, home. They shook hands, simply, as humans, and suddenly, a faint chime. No source, no reason. They are here, Tesla whispered, already listening. He walked to the window. See, dawn. It's still pale, but it's coming. The journalist left. The door closed silently behind him, and as he would later write, I left a different man, as if someone had awakened inside me, not in the mind, in the heart. The interview was never published. The papers were kept in a secret box, the cylinder but among personal belongings, until one day, almost 100 years later, the box was found, and you are holding it now, in the form of these words, and perhaps not by chance. Because, as Tesla said, death is not a period, it is a comma, after which we continue to write in another language. If this story made you reflect, leave a like. For you, it's a second. For us, it's a chance to share such things with those ready to listen. Write in the comments what you felt. We read every word. Sometimes there's more truth in them than in the loudest headlines. And of course, subscribe. Many more stories ahead, ones that don't just tell but awaken. Truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. The key is to know how to listen. See you soon.